What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to another episode. Glad you guys could make it back. Today we're going to be focusing on an old school Sony PS1. This was dropped off to me by a customer saying it has a no disc read issue. And then he also dropped off this extremely dusty, dirty PS2 controller that he said worked fine, and then it didn't. So, not really sure exactly what's going on with it. It said the buttons weren't working correctly. We'll have to plug it into this guy and see what's going on. Hopefully it's going to be nothing too serious. Probably end up tearing into this guy, give it a good clean, check the wiring, see if there's any shorts on the inside. Just do a standard go through. Hopefully we can get that thing up and running for him again. Probably going to need a disc... Can't talk. Probably going to need a laser replacement for this guy, which I do have. I actually have quite a few. I'd work on more of these than you actually might think. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the Sony PS1, this launched in the mid-90s. When this came out, this was considered out of this world. There was no other gaming console that could do what this thing did. Its closest competitor would have been the Nintendo 64 at that point, and they were still using cartridges when these were using discs, and it was just far superior. Definitely brings back a lot of good memories. I remember getting one of these for the first time and playing it, and at the time, graphics were out of this world. We could not believe what we were looking at. I remember sitting down and playing Mortal Kombat and Final Fantasy and all kinds of games. Resident Evil. Oh man, those were the good old days. Star Wars. This is actually one that I kept from my childhood. I've had this for over 20 years at this point. Way over 20 years actually, probably 25. But this is what we're going to be using to test. We're going to get this thing hooked up, make sure the symptoms match what the customer is saying, and we will go from there. You guys like my background? Thought it was kind of fitting since we're going to be testing Star Wars here. Alright, we got her all hooked up. Let me go ahead and switch the screen over to AV. Alright, so let's make sure it actually turns on. Which it does, but where's the picture? Can't miss the boot. Let's go ahead and reset it. Guess I had it on the wrong one. Oh, classic. This was the noise to hear back in the 90s and 2000s. Alright, so it does turn on. Let's go ahead and get a disc in there and see what happens. Yeah, it looks like she's not going to make it, unfortunately. You know, one thing I am noting here is I cannot hear it spinning up in there. Definitely appears as though it's not spinning whatsoever. So this disk drive might just, well, not disk drive, but this disk reader might be completely toast. So there is a little switch back here that you can press down to test that theory. I'm going to go ahead and hold it. I'm getting no action, none whatsoever. So chances are this disk drive is completely toast. I hope that the replacement is going to work and there's not something on the board that is actually burnt out, which that would really suck. So we'll go ahead and power it off, get it unhooked. Get all my cords nice and tucked away. I like to try and stay as neat as possible. You're probably wondering why I didn't do anything with the controller. That will come next after I see this thing actually work. Once I see this old gal working, then we will move on to the controller. Alright, now that we got my trusty dusty screwdriver, go ahead, flip this guy over. First thing I noticed right off the bat, it's missing a screw right here. Looks like it's missing a screw right here as well. That's kind of concerning. Always going to point toward the fact that obviously somebody was in this thing already. So once we do get this thing repaired, and I'm pretty confident that this will be working in the next half an hour. I'm just going to give it a nice good deep clean. And he wants a custom paint job, which I will happily oblige him. She's a little bit dusty in there. So this is the inside of your standard PS1. As you can see, compared to what we have these days, it's extremely simple. So we'll go ahead and get all this stuff disconnected. When I say all this stuff, like it's a lot. It's literally just two little connections there. Super simple. And while I'm in here, go ahead and get everything else apart. You want to be careful with these older systems. It would be very easy to break one of these. Sometimes if they fight me, I'll get a pair of precision tweezers to undo these, but obviously that came undone, so go ahead and start removing screws. Go ahead and undo this connection right here. Well, actually, yeah, we can go right ahead and just pull it out. Anytime you're doing a job like this, you always want to make sure and keep your stuff well taken care of and track of. Put it somewhere you're not going to lose it or knock it off the table. It's fairly clean underneath. One thing that I do have a tendency to encounter on these older PS1s, sometimes to get the actual main board out, they will be modded. So I'm curious to see if this has been modded or not. A large percentage of them have been. But all the screws, pretty sure. Should only be about 4. Alright, so there's your board. See my reflection there? Pretty darn clean. Go ahead and flip it over. And it has 0 modding from what I'm seeing. So this baby is bone stock. For something that's 20 plus years old, she do be looking good. Go ahead and set that off to the side. Probably won't have to pull the power supply out. I'll just give that a good dusting. Actually, you know what? I'm lying. The power supply is coming out. Oopsie. Why is it so loud? So keep in mind that any power supply, big or small, is always going to hold a little bit of a charge, so you always want to be careful. This isn't too bad. It's not bad at all. Just go ahead and push that power button in, and hopefully it'll drain the caps and make it slightly safer. So now we'll go ahead with the controller ports. Should just lift right on out, super easy. We'll be giving all this an alcohol bath. I do use 91%. Perfect for electronics. Trusty dusty paintbrush, soft bristle. I'm actually going to do this off camera so I don't make a mess right here. Alright, that was much better and was pretty darn easy. So I'm going to be happy with that. Oh wait, no, I see a little bit more back there. Call me OCD, but if you're going to get it, you got to get all of it. Alright, that is much better. I'm happy with that. Alright, so with that being done, we will go ahead and move on to the next thing. So again, you always want to be very careful. This is older tech. It's easy to pull a cap off on accident. That's why I use these soft bristle brushes. Wish there was a way to remove this shield other than desoldering it. Alright, I'm going to be grabbing my trusty dusty toothbrush, dip it in some alcohol, and give her a nice little scrub down. Trusty dusty. When it comes to these boards, these are fairly simple to work on. Usually just a 60-second scrub down. It's going to be about all it needs. I will be taking wipes and wiping down this heat shield as well. Yeah, so that's probably good. Alright, go ahead and let this sit and dry. Shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. We'll move on to this guy. So I don't need to use alcohol on this. It's not that dusty. Switch is the only dusty part that actually shows up. Again, you want to be very careful. good. Next up, the controller ports. Give this a quick little wipe down. It's about as good as that's going to get. It's not bad. Next up is the heat shield. Well, not heat shield, the shield. I'm going to actually do this behind the camera because there's actually a fair bit of dust on here and I don't want that getting all over my stuff. Alrighty. I'll get some wipes and go ahead and wipe it down real fast. It's honestly not making much of a difference. It's just so old. It's got a lot of blemishes and some mild discoloration. Honestly, hardly anything in here. So that's going to be set aside to dry. And then next up is the top shell. Oh, listen to that old school plastic creak. Got a little something going on right here. See if we can't get that off. Oh yeah, elbow grease, baby, elbow grease. Alright, that's the first smudge. Sorry if that sounds annoying. Alright, so let's go on my lap for a second. That smudge does not want to come off. Alright, she is good as new. Perfect. So in order to do a good job on the inside, we're going to have to take this guy apart. But before we do that, I would like to get it back together. It will be coming apart again. Oh, look at that crap. How does one accomplish that? It's all the way around the ring. Then there is some crap in here as well. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm just going to get my light in here to show you guys how nasty it is. That's what you get from years and years of use. Perhaps something might have spilt on it. Hopefully that's not causing our issue, but from what I've seen on the inside, it's very clean, so I'm not really too worried about it. Go ahead and give this guy a nice little wipe down. Look at that, nasty. Hopefully this will fit in here. Go outside this lid a couple times, get any excessive residue off of here. Boom, she's good to go. Alright, we'll get it back together and get it tested. See if this new laser works. Alright, she is for the most part back together. Got our new laser sitting here. Before I do that, go ahead and plug some of this stuff back in first. And then in with our new laser. Alright. Seem to be pretty solid. Get our case back on, or top shelf. Flip her on her back. Alright. Flip her around. Alright, at this point, we're just going to go ahead and get her plugged in. Get a disc in there. And see what happens. Alright, dudes and dudettes, moment of truth. Will she work? Yeah, that's what you want to see right there. Beautiful. Alright, so now that we know that she works, I'm going to once again disconnect everything, get this shell off, and we are going to get it apart and give it a beautiful custom paint job. So I'm going to pause the video here for a second. I'm going to clean up my area real fast, and then I will be right back with you guys. Alright, my area is nice and clean. I have to be organized, otherwise I go crazy. I did notice a couple more little nasty spots here. Quite dirty right up in here. I don't know why I won't focus, but she nasty. So when you want to get into a crevice like that, for me, use a toothpick and some wipes. Just go ahead and wrap it around. And then get in there. Oh, that is thick. Nasty. Go ahead and get my toothbrush, get a little bit of alcohol in there, just to make sure and get it all. think she's ready to be torn down. So go ahead and flip her on her back again. So now a little bit more does go into this process than meets the eye. You do have to pull all the buttons out and get the lid off as well. Let's not forget that this logo's got to come off as well. Go ahead and flip her. And I just start over here. There's a little spring right here that you got to detach. You just extend it, lift it off, and boom. This little piece will come out just like that. And there's another piece that comes off as well. Then you have these two tabs on the button. Just push, flip, and pull. Easy peasy. It's the same for these buttons over here. Just got two tabs. Just push and pull. On this power button, there is a little spring that you do not want to lose. You'll be very upset if you do. Next up, got a couple screws right here and right here. Just go ahead and pull these guys out. We'll go ahead and leave that there for a second. There is a little mechanism right here that'll be coming off with it. You want to be careful with this part because you can actually break it. Oops. Now there is another spring in here that you'll have to align to get to close properly. It's a lot easier than you might think. Come on out of there, little guy. Don't be scared. There we go. And then, voila. That is the complete deconstruction of a PS1. Super simple. I'll take my wipe and start going through. Clean up any dust or gunk that might be left inside these switch housings. Before you paint anything, you always want to make sure that it is 100% clean, no dust, no residue left over from the wipes. we'll be good. There is one last little switch right here for the disc. Same thing, a couple little tabs, just push them in, push it out. I actually need a toothpick for this part. So it's rather small. Okay, maybe my trusty dusty screwdriver might be able to do a better job. There we go. Easy peasy, baby. Alright, so that's essentially it for the case. Next part is a bit tedious. That's getting this guy off without damaging it. Hopefully this razor is going to be able to do the job. I was thinking I might have to use some alcohol to get this off. However, it's coming off quite easily. I'll do my best not to bend it. There she goes. Shabam. Go ahead and put that guy off to the side. Alright, so the lid and the shell, the top shell, are both ready to be painted. Color that the customer asked me for. This is bright teal. So hopefully this looks good. I mean, obviously to him it'll look good because that's the color that he wanted. So when I come back to you guys, she will be a completely different color. Alright, you guys, we are back and she is finished. And man, does she look good. Cannot believe how well this actually turned out. She's so shiny you can see the reflections of everything. This actually turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. So I did save the best, most satisfying part for last. Get this logo back on here. So I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue on here. Slap it on there. Screw it back together. Do one final test. And then we will be good to go. Alright. Moment of truth. Can I get this thing on here perfect? Bam. Look at that. Alright, we'll go ahead and move this guy out of the way for a second here. Bring her on back. beautiful. So we got the two-tone gray. I love how that looks. We do have the cover for this as well. That will be going on. Just gotta get it screwed back together. She is gorgeous. I love this color. Alright, so we'll go ahead and flip her. Hopefully the table doesn't scratch it at all. I will be pretty upset. So I was planning on doing the controller in this video. However, further testing off camera revealed that none of the buttons work how they should. So there's something detrimentally wrong inside. And what I'm going to do is save that for another video. I think that'll make for a nice informative little repair guide. And I do have the other screws. They're not the same color, but they are the same thread pattern. And there she is. Finished product. Damn, this thing looks good. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. What do you think? You like this type of color combination? I know I do. Alright, so I got her all hooked up. Moment of truth. Got a green light. So unfortunately, after this little intro, I do have to turn it all the way down. From what I've learned, the music is copyright. She boots right into the game. Man, this thing is phenomenal. I love that two-tone. Got no stutters. Super nice and smooth. So this thing works good. Go ahead and get a hold of the customer and get this beautiful piece of history back to him and give him the bad news about the controller. Hopefully he'll let me hold on to it for another day or 3 so I can actually make a video with it. So let me know what you guys think about these long form videos. I like showing every detail that I can possibly show. I don't like speeding it up, even though there's parts when I do have to speed it up, but it's just the nature of the beast. So hopefully you guys can catch me in the next one. Probably do the controller on the next one. and stay safe in the world, you guys.